dear. Oh, you're streaming already. You just pressed the button. You're like, hey man, let's go. And I'm like, I'm not ready. You're like, too bad, we're going. That's the story, Morning Glory. Welcome to the Grim Grizz Show. It's not ready yet. I hope you're capable of hitting the fast forward button there. This is all zoomed in for what happened. What happened was I discovered this guy when I went to drop off the Bridges of Meaning Discord Challenge, or what did I call it? I don't know. We'll look at it here in a second. Welcome. Go get some coffee or something. Ah, it's God Paul. Ah, no. Here, watch this.
That God being both inside and outside might be considered pantheism. I don't know.
I mean, the first thing I think of with that is like the fractal, right? It's just.
Oh, here it is. Here is the Bridges of Meaning Discord Challenge from Meaning Code Karen.
Continue like
Pantheism is the whole show. He is outside and he is inside.
All right, it starts in a second.
Right. This is where I don't know where this gets tangled up with pantheism. I've been trying to sort that out because I know that at some point somebody said pantheism was a heresy, and heaven forfend, I don't want to fall into heresy. So,
well, Paul Vanderklay says we're allowed to have a little heresy in the Bridges of Meaning Discord on the search for truth. So I'm trusting him on that.
Okay, well, so you guys on the Bridges of Meaning, will you figure out to what extent that God being both inside and outside might be considered pantheism? I don't know.
I mean, the first thing I think of with that is like the fractal, right? It's just continuing. Like there's God in, there's God out.
Did you catch it? It was for you guys?
Think of with that is like the fractal.
Meaning, will you figure out?
I'm trusting him on that.
Okay, well, so you guys on the Bridges of Meaning, will you figure out to what extent that God being both inside and outside might be considered pantheism? I don't know.
I mean,
so there it is. That's the challenge for the Bridges of Meaning crew. Wow, yeah, you didn't set up at all. Hello and welcome. I don't even know if you're here yet because I haven't opened the YouTube studio and gotten out the chat box hive mind thing. It's completely ill prepared, but this show has been setting up for the last 2.5 hours, so Grim just had to go on. You know, it's a matter of supply and demand at this point, sir. You need to perform. Chop chop. So I discovered this feller. Not this one. I don't want to watch this one. There, 66 subscriber guy, but he had dropped off something in the this thing in the Bridges of Meaning self-promo area. I have a self-promo area in the Broken Clock Tower Discord. It's called the Town Square. Anyway,
hello and
here's him.
Welcome back to Adopt Responsibility. So today we are going to listen to a really useful conversation between Michaela Peterson and Jonathan Pajot. First, I have a 1-minute introduction to me and this podcast, and then we'll pretty much get straight into it. Timestamps are below if you would like to skip through. So as for an introduction, my name is Matthew Whedon. My family is composed of my beloved wife, my 2 children who we have adopted, as well as 2 more children who we are just finishing the process of adopting. So I am coming to you from a very divine time of my life. I'm 27 years old. I live on an acreage near a small town in British Columbia. Now this channel is philosophical in nature. It is primarily an avenue for me to pursue wisdom, a forum for my study, as well as a tool for me to gain and share the best view of the world that I can. I believe that by attending to my view of the world through the tools of listening, reading, writing, and occasionally speaking, that I can increase my wisdom and hopefully be a serious net positive for the world and for being. So let's get into it.
Yeah, actually, let's just start there. So,
Sure.
I don't know if you're going to be able to describe that, but what's the pattern that you found?
And so the best way to understand it is that is the way that Jordan explains it. I think Jordan has a great way of explaining it, which is similar to mine, and it's very easy to understand it that way, which is that the world presents itself to you as too much, right? The world is full of stuff, and there's too much stuff, and everything that you perceive has an indefinite amount of detail, and that detail has, it's infinite detail all the way down, right? And so despite that, for some reason, we're able to perceive unities in our experience, right? I'm able to say that's an apple, but an apple is not one thing, right? An apple is a million things. An apple is millions and millions of things, but I'm somehow able to perceive it as one thing. And so, but I'm also able to perceive parts of things and the unity of things at the same time. We kind of move between the two, right? I can look at a car and I could say, that's a car, but I could also realize, well, that's the wheel of a car, that's this part, that's the paint, that's this. So I can see parts and wholes at the same time. So the question is, first of all, how is that possible? And what does that mean? And so we have a capacity to compress reality into unities. So that happens in space, it happens with objects, but it also happens in time.
All right, so I got about to the part where Pajot said apple and got bored, and so I looked in his description here, where he responsibly put a bunch of timestamps, so we get the nice little sectioning in the bar here. People that make that effort are heroes among content producer, fourth wall breaker fellas. Okay, so acknowledge. But I went down here and it said CTMU, and I was like, what? And I clicked on that.
There's a whole ritual that we follow. So Pajot is saying there's an ultimate ritual, there's an ultimate pattern, and Pajot would use the traditional word God, and I referred to the CTMU. Chris Langen, I might bring up some theories of everything as I'm going through this. I don't know if I will or not.
And I'm all like, Chris Langen, that one racist mother. Shut your mouth, boy. Hey, man, I'm just talking about Dirty Frank. I mean, I like his take on evil. Big fan. Especially the part about how it can't see itself. In other news, also yesterday, Karen kicked out this, like, the most fabulous conversation I've seen in quite some time. But I haven't seen her fucking talk with Tammy. What the fuck? 7 months ago. The highlight. I haven't seen that yet. What do you know?
Wow. And by magic, I mean just such a beautiful, a re-enchanted environment. Let's put it that way. Oh. There's a lot.
That's where I tapped out because she was selling some book.
Statement on your heart, but remember that in the story of Israel, like, you have a prophet who's saying that, who is being utterly rejected and will never, ever, ever, ever in his lifetime experience the fruit of his labor. Never.
Oh, this is his hot take on the prosperity gospel. That was good. His backstory is all in the front here, and then like they get into Harry Potter, and this was a great part. I'm stealing. This was one of the things I love most about Karen's talks is like she brings in shit from left field like I like to do. Check this out.
So like I think God can speak to us through the written word, through books, through stories, because he's the one who told the original story. This is sort of a different piece, maybe not a part of the conversation we need to have or what you want to have.
Oh, Chris, you save me. You save me with this. You like provide like you give my brain remember to do savings throw when you come into the chat and say remember Embody. Remember Embody. I do mind control on people here, and you are at risk of it. And in order to like consent to what follows, I offer you these savings throw options, okay? You get to choose between survival, on which to base your savings throw, social, on which to base your savings throw, wisdom, on which to base your savings throw, or heart, on which to base your savings throw. If you're not going to say anything, you can disappear. And then I roll these dice, and if you get it over 10, you're safe from the mind control. You'll be fine. If the die you chose does not get over 10, then you might be changed and altered by the mind control. But that could work out for you, so stick around and watch. So having chosen either survival, social, wisdom, or heart, here we go. Survival, an 8. An 8. If you have a hat, you're okay. If you don't, you're probably going to be changed a little bit. Socialists, 15. You're immune to what follows. Congratulations. Sophists, this is going to get you, but you probably need it. And heart, double 9s, you're so fine. You're good. You're good. All right, here we go. Here's this part.
It's imposed upon him by outside forces, but this is to me, this is freedom. That's true freedom, that you're able to say no to sin, but not just say no to sin, but to say yes to like the difficult thing, to say yes to that, to say I'll enter into the place where it's really difficult. I'll do it. I'll say yes to that. And I think that's whenever I think the most amazing, incredible, life-giving things happen. It's on the other side of that. And so I guess if enough of us do it, we'll probably see some really cool things before we die, because we're gonna die.
It's exactly like you said, though, that
It's interesting that that's the part we randomly click through in now, because I thought that was a really good example of the crucifixion view that Jedediah is pushing in the I hated it when I heard Jedediah sell it, but this guy, the way he sells it, it's much better. He's a priest, I guess, that she met on Twitter. It's fascinating. But that's the big drama slice in the corner this weekend is the commentary resulting.
But I think
From the video, the prophadic vocation of Jonathan Pajot. And the content of this video has so triggered people in this corner of the internet that they couldn't even make it through the clip that Pastor Paul took from the thing and put at the front. He's like, okay, this is going to set everyone off. I'm going to put at the front, and then anybody who makes it can enjoy the rest of the talk. So here it is.
I think that my plan, if I have a plan, it's really to give Christians a possibility in this re-enchanted world that's coming, and to help them see and realize that this story we have is the best story. We have the best story. There's no doubt about that. And there's no reason for the Bart Ehrmans of the world to make you doubt that anymore, because the type of argumentation that those kinds of people are engaging with, they, in the post-Jordan Peterson world, they just,
see, this is the part that triggered me, and then that just slid by the Grail crew, I think, or they jumped past it.
doubt that anymore. And there's no reason for the Bart Ehrmans of the world to
Who are the Ehrmans of the world? What does that mean?
make you doubt that anymore, because the type of argumentation that those kinds of people are engaged.
Who are those kinds of people, and what types of argumentation are they engaging in? Because that's information warfare. Types of argumentation? That's my interest range. Please elaborate.
Engaging with, they, in the post-Jordan Peterson world, they just.
Wow, bro. Wow. The post-Jordan Peterson world. What's that? That's a big one. That's a big one. Hold on. I want to get into this part. Not that one, but the actual one. Where does it say finding God in this storied mess? Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. But then after, you know, that happens 10 times and then a whole bunch of other weird things happen. About you, but he's
Rawr on that logo, right? I wonder how much it costs to play that song.
about you, but he's in Nashville with me right now. We're shooting some courses. Every meeting we go to, he tells somebody about you.
That's
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a little humbling, I have to say, but I'm happy. I think that, you know, when I heard your dad on the radio in 2015, I just felt like there was such a connection between the way we thought, you know, and I think he felt the same even, you know, when we met the first time. And so, yeah, so it's like I'm excited to support what he's doing, you know, the way that I can. So.
Okay. He said yesterday we went to a Daily Wire party and he was talking to Ben Shapiro and he told Ben Shapiro about you. He said, you guys should connect. But afterwards I said, Ben Shapiro is probably the smartest person I've met. It's great. Like him in person, his verbal fluency, it's insane. And Dad said, yeah, he's up there among, you know, the top 3 or 4 people I've met. But he said you were up there as well. Anyway.
So I'm supposed to call Ben Shapiro because he sent me his number. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting.
And meanwhile, after that, Pastor Paul Vanderklay scores a talk with the fella.
Have no grip anymore. And so there are ways to live both in the modern world and to fully embrace and live in the Christian story in a way that isn't pretending, that isn't LARPing, that is completely authentic. And so.
What? Sir. There's a big difference between LARPing and lying. Oh.
I think that that's the LARPing that is completely authentic. And so I think that that's the plan. And I think that in general, it's also to, even for non-Christians, it's to save the reenchantment from the woke. Because even for those.
What? I'm so triggered. Oh, no, I'm not.
That don't go all the way and don't end up going to church, let's say, and do want to remain in a kind of secular space. It's to help them not fall into the religion of the crazy religion that is setting itself up, because it's going to intensify. There's no doubt about it, right? What Klaus Schwab's new book is called The Great Narrative.
The crazy religion that's setting itself up. Please elaborate.
The crazy religion that is setting itself up, because it's going to intensify. There's no doubt about it, right? What Klaus Schwab's new book is called The Great Narrative. He knows exactly what's going on. They know exactly what's happening. They understand that story is coming back.
Oh my God, it's a conspiracy. The World Economic Forum. What the hell is the World Economic Forum? I don't know. Hey, you like Peugeot too. We're all fans. The Apostle of Purpose. Not denied, I'll remind you. Here, I just searched it. Remember, Embody, this happened.
That they want to do this. Man, sorry.
Yeah,
Here I am talking about this on your channel so I can get your channel in trouble instead of my channel. Sorry.
This is Jonathan Peugeot. Welcome to the symbolic world.
Halloween. A year and like Halloween minus a year ago. You know.
It is here on the edge that we find the zombies wandering aimlessly in a world that's losing its center. Unlike most of his monstrous brothers, let's say, the zombie is truly the harbinger of contemporary nihilism. The zombie has no magic. The arrival of the zombie usually has no clear reason, but rather the zombie is couched in a biological accident, a disease, a plague. It's simply an animated corpse.
It's crazy how real this is getting. Like yeah.
You guys have been following the Great Reset stuff? Like, man, it's real. It's all very, very real. Yeah, man. So the World Economic Forum announced a Great Reset. This happened a while ago. They've been talking about it for a long time. I think they've been talking about it since before COVID, but they're saying that COVID is now a reason for and this is the World Economic Forum, for all the leaders, all the world leaders and all the world economic leaders to create a Great Reset.
Quantitative leveling.
Based on intersectional things. Prince Charles has been talking about the Great Reset, and it was on the cover of Time magazine this month, The Great Reset by Klaus Schwab. It's a scary stuff. So now it's like a world movement to rethink of the entire society, in the world society, in terms of intersectional values. So it's happening, guys. It's happening right now.
So that's the they're talking about. The whole point. Oh, sorry, perennial. Glad to see you. Thank you for coming and being part of the hive mind and thinking with us. I like Peugeot and what he says here, even, and here was, I don't know when. I still feel like just condemning the woke kind of falls short. I don't. Is it a condemnation? Kind of falls short of Jesus's message. Am I off base? Or is that the whole point of this corner? To be off base? To fight the woke? No, I don't know. For me, the corner goes like this. The story of the corner goes like this. Once upon a time, there was I got sent some Jordan Peterson. And it was maps meaning 9, and that's good. And if I could maintain my integrity, there would be a series out that I've produced called previously on Jordan Peterson's mom, which is from those. But that's been a hard one. Anywho, Gloff, good to see you. Gloff knows. Wow. My interaction with this corner of the internet. And then what happened was there was a Discord layer. I had come from a different community with a Discord layer, and there was a Discord layer developing amongst like the people who watch the same end up in the same live chats, in the same comment sections. They go into a Discord, it becomes a little something more, people start working and building together. And so it's like, and because the Bridges of Meaning Discord did so well amongst the people watching the same ish, it became the bridge under which the salty estuary waters flow. And like, there was a part of me that was like, okay, so this Christian guy wants to mix with internet waters. Well, that's going to be fascinating. What about this? And what about this? And what about this? And so that's where I've been. Oh, yes, Van. See, that's kind of how this agentic interest title of this got generated, Gloff. It was it was a loan of interest. Or a loan of agency he gives me with his attention. And so let's reciprocate some with this part of the talk that we haven't heard anybody say anything about yet.
Symbolic world. And part of my question is, are you an artist? Are you a storyteller? Are you a small business owner? Are you an entrepreneur?
I mean, I guess I'm all those things, which is fine with me. Like, to me, the way that I see it, how can I say this? Like, the way, it's also maybe a feature of what I am a content creator, you could say, in the sense that I really do want to create things and not just, like, for example, like this graphic novel that we put out, like I wrote that with my brother 10 years ago. And so, but it's always just been there, and we were barely surviving, both of us financially. So we never had the energy
or the capacity to dive into that. And now with this, the fact that I don't have to worry about money right now, like I'm okay,
Right.
means that all of a sudden I have the capacity to do things, to do more things. It's basically power. Like if you see money as power, that sounds really bad, but it's not bad. Like that's actually what money is.
Yeah.
If you have it in its proper place, then it affords you the capacity to extend your body, like to extend the things that you want to do. And so
why, let's call that agentic capacity. And like he's feeding off of the attention that he can generate on YouTube and turning it into agentic capacity. Yes, like I'm trying to do. That's what we do here, because we found ourselves in a society where like there is no place to petition your grievances, and you don't have a voice unless you have an audience. And so he managed to secure himself an audience.
I'm super grateful, like that people are supporting me because there are a million things I want to do. And so now I've hired 2 people, one person to help me with carving, and then one person to help me with the symbolic world stuff. And
see, and that's right there is the angle of the Deadwood Dandies and the Army of the 12 Monkeys project. Is there's going to be content creators that need to hire people to help them, and those what they need them help with, like doing proper descriptions on a YouTube video, like ripping the audio from a YouTube video and distributing it as a podcast. All the social footprint, like what platforms to presence on. These sort of things and questions are all network questions. And I don't know, either the network isn't advertising well, so I don't see it, or it's something we have an opportunity to build together. And for people locked away, developing marketable skills is always a good thing. So 12 Monkeys, rah-rah.
that's one of the reasons why sometimes people are like, how is it that you do everything you do? Well, at this point, I have people helping me, and that's been amazing. So I think that, I mean, it's hard because there's like a taboo about money, I guess, in Christianity, and as much in the Orthodox Church as there is anywhere, where people are suspicious, as soon as you start to make money. But, when I was it was funny because when I was in Africa, something changed in me. Before that, I was like an artist.
Oh, if you want to know the African change, you're going to have to click through to the thing itself. However, Glove over here is bringing up Twitter, and I want to be like, oh my God, no, don't say that. He's like, Twitter is basically the new town square. Twitter was the new town square before they kicked Trump off of it. Do you know that the CEO of Twitter recently stepped down? Do you know whether or not that stepping down was related to a trial of a Ghislaine? A Ghislaine? I don't know how to say that, Max. Well, it's Saudi? I've heard that the Saudis own Twitter. And so if it's a new town square, I don't know. Where's the power? What's this? It's too censorshipy for me. I don't know why. I mean, I've been shadow banned as far as I can tell forever, and I get some interaction through an agentic loan. And that's the. I gotta get out of this. So let's get to the end, and the end is going through the impetus. And the thing, and the reason it's the agentic interest is because, like, remember when Grail Country landed that great Vervaeke interview? Or he did Vervaeke and Martin talking? And we were like, okay, let's do the first Beholder project. See, for me, like, pointing the first Beholder project at that is like this giant loan of agency to me. And then what happens is he offends my sensibilities. And I'm like, what have you done with the loan of agency I've given you? When, and here's the offense, he titles his thing Paul Vanderklay and Jonathan Pajot Prophet of Purpose Convo. Okay, that whole thing, that part of the title. And then, what's the rest of the word?
This side of the issue.
A constructive critique. This one. A constructive critique. And what happens is not that. But there's a great, oh look, Pajot lent his agency and made a comment. I had that once. All I got was an okay. No. Here.
Black
Here's a
and
sample.
white, and there's like a clear evil that we can fight. And this is clearly his orientation, because if you look at like it's God's dog project, that's like I'm not so excited about that, because
what's emerging from
it has a very
within
Deus Vult sort of kind of feel to it, honestly.
it emerges from us. It emerges from us, you know, and that's, I think, the hard part about like the emergent property of the whole thing is like it's easy to go to the conspiracy, harder to say that these realities exist in the architecture of our own spiritual reality right now. And that's where that's the hard part to.
This is where Peterson is better than Pajot, because Peterson seems to be, because of his.
I don't know. It didn't seem to have anything to do with the conversation that took up 90% of the title. There was like okay, watch this part's great. This part's good. You gotta see at least this.
Money in my purse, and Iago is a type of Satan, folks. To put money in my purse and to ride the status rocket. And Paul ends the conversation. Toward the end of the conversation, Paul is like, "No, actually, I'm interested in extending my pastoral building community." That's what Estuary is about, and tries to explain Estuary to Jonathan Pajot, who I'm not sure if he really still understands what's going on with Estuary, but he at least made up to his credit, he made an effort to try to understand it.
It's like 2 minutes in, you got 4 character assassinations of Pajot. And like the one redeeming quality of the conversation is that Paul like refuted the assaulting allegations or the assaulting temptations by the evil Jonathan. And then we get 7 seconds of the conversation, and that is the extent that this hour and 20 minutes is about the conversation in the title. And that is why it receives such a harsh critical analysis commentary from myself in response to the feeling of betrayal of agentic loan I experience when someone I have loaned my agency to him titles their thingy like that and then does not deliver at all on what they've titled.
So it's not all negative.
What the hell does Deus Vult mean, Glove? Glove, you said this Deus Vult thing like you know what it is. What the hell is that? It's a graphic novel. Like I wanted to get the D&D stats from his characters for it, and also like to ask him if his God's dog guy could kick Prometheus' ass, because he's like lifted Alan Moore up in respect before, and that'll rock a Christian world reading that graphic novel. So, you know, but I don't talk about that with them anymore.
Feedback. So I wanted to start with a little bit of positive feedback before we got into some of like the areas where we might have some pushback. And I'm just going to start by, the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to play clips that we kind of talked about beforehand. And then I'll play the clip. without commenting on, or interrupting that particular clip. And then I'll pause the clip, and then I will, we'll talk about how we feel about what we just listened to. So let me start sharing my screen. All right.
Oh, look, it's everybody who's emailed him recently.
Hear.
Not fall into the religion of the.
Everybody able to hear?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm gonna continue playing.
The crazy religion that is setting itself up, because it's gonna intensify. There's no doubt about it, right? What Klaus Schwab's new book is called "The Great Narrative."
Can I?
He knows exactly what's going on.
Is there a comment already?
Yeah, I just cannot.
I just cannot stand it when you explain the format that you're going to play the whole clip and then you get 8 seconds in it and let some dude cuck you out of your own format.
Stand when he uses that tone of this is inevitable, the pattern is playing itself out, there is no, like, I just see this so clearly.
Oh, you can't stand it?
I'm missing something, but it just, I just get triggered by that. I mean, I don't know, do you get what I'm saying? Is it really that, this sort of tone of, oh, this is just inevitable and this is going to happen this way, and I don't know.
There's a way I actually agree with him on that point.
Okay, let's hear it.
To a certain extent, because it's like, I think that
that little bit right there was like how fast he jumped on, okay, let's hear it, was like, my mission here is to disrupt Pajot's airtime, and you took the bait.
This is really that, this sort of tone of, oh, this is just inevitable and this is going to happen this way, and I don't know.
There's a way I actually agree with him on that point.
Okay, let's hear it.
To a certain extent, because it's like, I think that the Antichrist pattern is a cyclical pattern that is part of.
And then, I don't know, there's this whole, it seemed like these two were beating up on and establishing dominance over the conversation. And since it wasn't delivering anything with regard to being about the conversation Paul and Pajot had, I was a little harsh in the comments. But, like I said, I had agentic interest in it.
Overall, at least my problem with kind of when we use Antichrist terminology, like, oh, it's got to be, certain reading of eschatology, but what we don't realize is how slippery of a character that really is. Like, that it's like you can be accusing somebody else of being Antichrist or alignment with the powers and still be in service of the powers yourself.
Yeah, that's how it works. Like, the principalities, they work through us and on us. And you don't ever really know who you're working for. But what does it say in this thing about the Antichrist? There's this book in the back called Revelation. What's it say about that? Have you guys checked with that? I don't know. I'm not a Christian. It's not. I mean, I got this for Valentine's out of love, so I like it. But anyway, so there's a bunch of drama over this episode in the corner because of feelings, and all my opinion is like, your time is way better spent either like checking out Michaela having demons and her finding God with Pajot, or this thing is awesome. Where was that part I wanted to do? This part where she shows him the stuff.
People, there's something truthful about their experience, because they're human beings made in the image of God. And so,
and that points to the fact that there is something called truth.
Yes,
which is what we've lost in our. When you said something earlier about finding Christ everywhere. That just makes me think, before I lose it, I want to show you this little film clip. It's
Okay.
going to be almost 5 minutes long, but
Let's do it.
trust me, I think it's going to be worth it.
Okay.
Um,
Man, I'm excited. I did not expect to watch film clips with you today.
yeah, okay. So this guy, Michael Levin, he is a biochemist, I think, and probably also a physicist, but he's done research in bioelectric signaling inside cells. And the basic thing that he and his group have discovered, I think you've probably heard before, that DNA doesn't really tell a body how to assemble. It just tells a body how to develop proteins and gives instruction to the proteins on how to do things. But what he discovered is that within cells, as they gather together, you can have a whole bunch of undifferentiated cells, but there will be bioelectric signaling going on between the cells where they kind of talk to each other. And they'll say, you go over there and be an eye, and this group here.
You go over there and be an eye in the Reiki Discord. And you go over there and be an eye in the...
You go over there and be a muscle in the arm. And, you know, telling the cells are talking to each other.
Yeah.
Well, so that's kind of some background on him. He's a fascinating guy. If you ever want to learn a lot of stuff, I mean, he's a good guy to listen to. But here he's talking about cancer. And the bells and whistles went off, because I think there's a deep principle here that fits in with everything we've been talking about.
Instead of that, they go off and they basically revert to a single.
And Karen, if you catch this is you reaping. You reaped this clip. And another way to view it is panhandling. Like, you were panhandling the information stream and you caught a gold nugget and now you're showing it to your friend.
Cell kind of existence. I
need to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things about cancer, the one way to think about cancer is to ask the question, why is there ever anything but cancer? In other words, individual cells like amoebas are extremely competent on their own. They handle single cell level goals quite well. Why do they ever get together to form something like a kidney or a liver? Because when there's a cancer, what you're seeing is a defection from that process. You're seeing cells that normally should be working on making a nice organ or upkeeping a nice organ in an adult. Instead of that, they go off and they basically revert to a single cell kind of existence. They basically become like an amoeba. They treat the rest of the body as just environment. It's like external environment. So you can think of that computational boundary between self and world can shrink. It can grow when a bunch of amoeba-like cells get together and they build something like an organ or a whole body. That computational boundary between self and world can shrink. It can grow when a bunch of amoeba-like cells get together and they build something like an organ or a whole body. That computational boundary grows, but it can also shrink, because an individual cell can say, I'm not working on this anymore. I'm just an amoeba and I'm gonna do what amoebas do. What do? They become 2 amoebas, and 2 amoebas become 4, and so on. They over proliferate and they go where life is good. So they metastasize to wherever they want to go. So that's cancer. So if you think about it that way, that cancer is this like defection from multicellular cooperation. You ask yourself, okay, so what is the process that normally keeps them harnessed towards specific goals? And so if you ask yourself, what
Oh no, I was busy asking myself what, and then Grimgris interrupted with your yesterday's message. Like, what if you're an angel sent to redeem the demon that's the rest of you? Like, what if we want what's best for you. What's best for you? Because nope, I'm editing it now. There is no agent. It used to say Shawshank is no agency from last time. That guy, I don't know what he had saying. This is Storyborne, Agentic interest. I think we covered all that already. You'll have to go back. Right now, I'm thanking Cheshet and the Shadow Cabal action executives, currently 15 Anonymous and R, who have made this month possible. And we'll see what happens. Metropolitan. Jordan Peterson is the metropolitan of his own church. Never forget. Never forget.
What do we know that's a process that harnesses individual competent subunits towards larger scale goals? That's very clear. That's the neural-like processing, because you have individual neurons, which are cells, but you connect them together into a network, and this amazing computation starts to take place that can do things like plan for the future and have memories and have preferences and goals on a large scale. You know, you as an organism can have goals and memories that your individual cells don't have. So we know that electrical networks are really good at binding small competent subunits into larger scale computational agents. We cells don't have. So we know that electrical networks are really good at binding small competent subunits into larger scale computational agents. We take advantage of that in computer science. Evolution takes advantage of it in making neurons. So we asked the following question: okay, could that be the basis of cancer? And now I must say that, of course, we're not the first to have this idea. Okay, again, Harold Burr said this in the 30s. But so we did three things. We said, okay, first of all, when this
she runs it a little long for my taste.
Before that tumor becomes apparent, you can see with a voltage dye, you can see that those cells become highly depolarized. They electrically uncouple from the rest of the tissue, and they go on their way. And they just treat, to them, the rest of the animal is just external environment at that point. So they become electrically uncoupled. And that's the first thing that oncogenes do, is electrically isolate the cell from its neighbors, from that collection of signals that normally tell the cell what to do in a larger context. So that's that oncogenes do, is electrically at that point. So they become electrically uncoupled. And that's the first thing that oncogenes do, is electrically isolate the cell from its neighbors, from that collection of that oncogenes do, is electrically isolate the cell from its neighbors, from that collection of
So she shared that piece of gold with him, and then they talk Harry Potter. Where she time-stamped it, right? Aslan and the Deep Magic.
This level of magic that is symbolic, right? One has to die because one did this. Like, it's a symbolic world. That's true, right? So that level of magic is true. But he says, actually, before the world even began, there was a deeper incantation spoken over it. Mm-hmm. That whenever an innocent person lays down their life for one who is not innocent, it reverses the process of death itself. So right there is what I guess what really frustrates me about Peterson is, I mean, obviously he's not a Christian, really. He's a cultural Christian. He's an agnostic. He's an evolutionary, thinker. Everything essentially comes back to evolution for him. I had a buddy who was at Cambridge when he was there and got to speak with Peterson and basically had a very direct conversation about this.
Turns out that's not the Harry Potter part at all, but I guarantee you there is a Harry Potter part in there. The whole conversation itself is like one of the best, as far as somebody who watches these conversations can judge, that I've seen in a while. I think it's worth everybody's time. I'm tapped out. I'm talking with Pet Cow tomorrow, and unless he cancels, Ann Leitner on Wednesday, and I'm gonna try and do my Patreon obligations directly. If you're a pillar and you want to work out your private sessions, just either hit me up at Discord or at Gmail, the Grim Grizz. So. All right, goodbye, everybody. Have a lovely Sunday or Monday already, depending on where you're at. Thank you to William Yaktoba. Zaha Yaktoba. That's right. We've got Russian bots in here. That's fascinating. Oh. William Tarbush Gloff, man, I might need your services if things keep going well. The Perennial Force, good to meet you. I like that you used a little peach. I'm scrolling up on this one, and you got a peach in there. I like that you used that. Alphabet was here. Thanks, everybody, for making this possible in all the ways you do, especially with your attention. The most valuable thing is human attention, and apparently this is worth yours. So thank you. And goodbye. You're part of so many stories, and I didn't talk about that at all. But like, you're part of your mom's story, you're part of the Christian story, you're part of your city's story, and now you're part of the hive mind story. Thank you, and have a lovely day.